the gas shortage. Fortunately, the pipeline has come back online. They restored function to the pipeline at 5 o'clock Eastern time today, so just over 2 hours. Time will tell how quickly they're able to get the gas through the pipeline to the distribution centers, replenish the distribution center tanks, and get the trucks flowing, trucks filled up into the gas stations. But that is behind us. I'm actually right here cooking. Hey, Robin. I'm actually cooking right now a late dinner. Cooking some pasta, a ground beef, broccoli Alfredo sauce, and yes. So anyway, cooking that. We'll have some of it for dinner, and then we'll freeze the rest of it in individual lunch portions for work lunches. But I figured if AOC can do her Instagram lives while drinking wine and cooking and talk about how the world is ending in 6 years or however long she is given this world and how we shouldn't have children, I can come on here and talk about how the world is ending as well. But not due to global warming. No, the world is ending because of Chick-fil-A sauce disappearing. That is the latest thing I heard. Chick-fil-A sauce, my friends. I mean, here I live in the Atlanta area. Chick-fil-A started here. Our corporate headquarters is here. I mean, Chick-fil-A is very important to us Southerners and those of us who are, Southern transplants. And even as a Californian, I love Chick-fil-A sauce. And yeah, so I'm not exactly sure the exact reason why. Chick-fil-A has said it's because of temporary supply chain issues. Um, that will be remedied, that they're working on. And they are saying that so basically, they're rationing Chick fil A sauce at the restaurants. They're limiting how much you can get per order. I mean, this is bad. I mean, it's one thing if you run out of gasoline and can't drive anywhere, but if you can still walk to Chick fil A and have your Chick fil A sauce, you can probably survive. I do think it's all Biden's fault. I'm not exactly sure how Biden is to blame for it, but I'm sure it's his fault. I mean, all kidding aside, these lockdowns and all of the COVID shenanigans with the pandemic have wreaked havoc, absolute havoc in supply chains all over. One, it's messed with demand. Demand has shifted around. Like the toilet paper shortages. Part of it was panic buying. Part of it was everyone was at home and they weren't at their offices, etc. So, um, industrial, commercial toilet paper, the toilet paper that they sell, in commercial settings, was still available, but the residential supply chain had way too much demand, and so there were shortages. It's just like there's lumber shortages. Part of it is well, not lumber shortages, but lumber prices have skyrocketed. It's not that the logs are more expensive. The logs, the raw lumber, like the raw timber, that's the word, the timber, those prices haven't gone up. In fact, it's kind of low right now. You can get timber at a good price. The loggers aren't benefiting from this. What's happening is the sawmills went offline during COVID because of the shutdowns, and then everyone's at home, and so they're doing home improvement projects because they're not traveling, they're not vacationing, so they're working on things at home. They're doing expansions. They're getting everything off their to-do list that they've had on there for 2 years, 5 years, and planning. Um, and so that's where a lot of this stuff is happening. And so, I'm kind of in jest about the world coming to an end with the Chick-fil-A sauce, but I mean, I don't know. It might be. I don't know how we can. survive without our Chick-fil-A sauce. It's traumatizing. But this pipeline, serious in all seriousness, I was going to come on here this morning and talk to all of you, but I had stuff come up here at the house. And so I didn't have the time this morning to come on and talk to all of you about the pipeline. But we need to pay attention to what's going on here. Basically, what the media is not sharing. I've been surprised at how quiet the media is about the cause of this and how they're trying to downplay what's actually happening with the pipeline. And it's like the Biden administration goes, "Oh, there's no shortages," and meanwhile, there's no lines, and everyone in the southeast are going, I can show you my gas station. I can show you every gas station I passed. I mean, more gas stations in my area are out of gas than have gas. At least in my part of Cobb County, which is right outside of Atlanta. So, I can't talk about, all of the Atlanta metro area. I haven't seen the statistics after today. I think this morning it was like 20% of gas stations were out of gas completely. But I bet it's like more like 50% or more now. I'm not sure. But the Biden administration is downplaying it. And basically what happened is these are some terrorists. That's what it is. It's terrorism. It's cyber terrorism. They're some Russians, not the Russian government, but it appears that they're a Russian group or a Russian speaking group. So it could be, Eastern Europe, former Soviet bloc country. And they have done these kind of attacks before. What happens is they hack in somehow and they install ransomware. I'm not exactly sure the exact mechanism of how they get this ransomware in, but the ransomware takes control, encrypts data, etc. Basically takes down the computer system and holds it hostage until you pay a ransom to these people. That's what's going on with it. So they're demanding a ransom of however much however much they're asking. If you don't pay them on time, if you don't get them their ransom on time, they double it if you don't get it to them on a deadline. So it's very scary. And I mean, it really is scary. And these people have done this in other areas with other computer systems, etc. This is a major piece of infrastructure, but they've been doing this in other places. And this is debilitating to our economy, to our national security, if they're able to go after such critical infrastructure. And what bothers me is the Biden administration has downplayed what's going on. I watched part of the press conference, White House press conference with the energy secretary, and people are asking her and going, well, what is the Biden administration, what is the White House going to do? What is the government going to do about this? And she's like, well, you have to understand this is a private enterprise. This is private industry. This isn't public infrastructure. And people are going, but this has like national security connotations. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I laugh as I told a coworker of mine today, I never knew that the Biden administration was such libertarians. I mean, it's like, since when did they care about private enterprise? I mean, really, since when? So I'm just laughing at this a little bit and chagrin. And my coworker, who's a smart guy, he's the financial advisor I work with, he basically said, oh, well, what they're going to do is they're saying, oh, this is private enterprise, and that's the problem. You need to give this over to the government. So they're actually, you need to let the government control it so we can keep this from happening. That was his theory. And that's actually a very interesting theory. You blame it on private enterprise and say, well, we have nothing to do with this. We can't get involved. Then you try to make public, you try to turn it over to the state. Basically, I forgot, nationalize, that's the term. The opposite of privatize. You nationalize the pipeline for national security purposes. That could be the play here. What I like is then they go, well, what guidelines are you going to have for private enterprise to secure against ransomware attacks like this so these kind of things don't happen again? Well, we're looking into seeing what kind of guidelines we can share to help private enterprise, blah, 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 blah. Oh, come on. This is a national security issue. Do you know what one reason why we need Space Force? To protect our satellites. So our satellites don't get attacked in this sort of way. We also have Cyber Command. That's right. We have military fighting for this. Do you realize that I forgot how many, I think it's a couple 100,000 soldiers China has in their cyber warfare division? I mean, they have tens of thousands. I think it's over 100,000. I want to say 200,000. It's a huge number of men and women, probably mostly men. Um, and that's not a sexist thing. It's just statistically speaking, they have more men than women in that country because they kill through sex selective abortion the women. So they have these cyber soldiers in China who are hacking us night and day, exploring our systems, etc. How do we know? Well, we know that these aren't Chinese because we know because of the language and this and that. This is a rogue thing. You see, piracy, there used to be pirates and marauders. The Vikings would come and rape and pillage. You would have the pirates who would sail the high seas and capture vessels, other vessels. What we're seeing now is the modern day cyber equivalent. They go in, they install ransomware, and they extort. I mean, it's basically cyber kidnapping, except they kidnap systems that we need. So we need to have a cyber warfare division. We need to beef it up. We need to secure our infrastructure because our infrastructure is vulnerable. I mean, people have been talking about it for years and years and years. Years and years and years. How vulnerable our power grid is, all sorts of other things. If a non-state actor, if a bunch of cyber thugs can do this, take down one of our most crucial pipelines, then what kind of damage could a state actor do? And also, they were doing ransomware. They weren't trying to actually cause damage. Can you imagine if they actually tried to cause damage that was irreversible? See, all we had to do to get back control is, and they worked with government agencies to basically get control of their systems back and get rid of the ransomware. But can you imagine if it was far worse? Now, here's the other thing, too. Many people are pointing out the timing that is kind of convenient, very helpful to the Biden administration, that everyone's been talking about the pipeline and the gas shortage instead of the Arizona election audit. We also need to be paying attention to what Mike Lindell is going to be dropping soon as well. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we can't allow all of this stuff to distract us. And as important as Chick-fil-A sauce is, we can't let that distract us too much either. We'll live. Maybe. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to run into Chick-fil-A and get myself some Chick-fil-A tomorrow while they still have sauce. What about people like Swalwell to compromise their country? Nothing was done with that. Exactly. Exactly. Nothing was done. He literally was sleeping with a Chinese spy. I mean, he was literally in bed with China. Literally in bed with China, with communist China. I mean, Feinstein had a Chinese spy driving her around for years. I mean, the level of compromised Democrat politicians is horrific. We need to be aware of what's going on. And when you look at the media, how compromised they are by China, how compromised they are by Muslim jihadists, it's absolutely horrifying. I mean, I am horrified to see the progressive left. They are crying over Hamas terrorists being killed and vilifying Israel for defending itself. Absolutely disgusting. You want to know why Jews are being slaughtered right now in Israel, and schools are being canceled, and children are hiding in bomb shelters, and babies are being born in basements? You want to know why? Because Biden started giving the Palestinians money again. He gave a terrorist regime. That's what Hamas is. It's a terrorist organization. The Palestinians, Gaza, the Gazans elected Hamas as their government. Look, my heart goes out for the Palestinian people. They're enslaved. They're enslaved. And they're suffering underneath this terrorist regime, which is using them for their own gain. It's horrifying. So anyway, that's it, my friends. You have a great night. Please follow me on all the networks: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Parlor, and here on Haps as well. God bless all of you. And yeah, I agree. Our country has gone straight downhill, but we're going to take it back with God's grace. We're going to take it back. I'm actually more hopeful than I have been since January. I'm very hopeful, but we need to not let our guard down, and we need to fight like mad. We need to fight like mad. Anyway, speaking about fighting like mad within the context of the democratic process, sad that I have to clarify that, but many people on the left don't understand figures of speech anymore. So, anyway, God bless all of you. Have a great evening, and I'll see all of you again